وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا ومولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله تعالى عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه وبارك وسلم تسليما كثيرا كثيرا. أما بعد، أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هل يستوي الذين يعلمون والذين لا يعلمون إنما يتذكر أولو الألباب. وقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يحمل هذا العلم من كل خلف عدوله ينفون عنه تحريف الغالين وتأويل الجاهلين وانتحال المبطلين أو كما قال عليه السلام. صدق الله مولانا العظيم وصدق رسوله النبي الكريم ونحن على ما قال ربنا وخالقنا ورازقنا من الشاهدين والشاكرين والحمد لله رب العالمين. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. درشت اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما باركت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. Respected elders, brothers, friends, sisters, first of all, we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for His ni'mats. May Allah give us tawfiq to do shukr at all times. I would like to thank Mufti Tawseer Sahab as well for organizing this program. It's been on my mind for a long time, since Maulana Mufti Sahab told me, to the extent that a week ago I was in Haramain Sharif in Medina Sharif with Hazrat Pir Sahab, Hazrat Maulana Talha Sahab, the son of Hazrat Shaykh Zakaria Rahmatullahi alayhi. So I requested Hazrat to make dua for this program. I said, Hazrat, we in England live in such an environment that we have fitnas around us, and daily we get new things coming up. We are just about to tackle one fitna and something else comes in, and this is succession. Every day, every week, something new is coming up. So we are getting helpless now. हज़रत परेशान हो गए हैं, रोज़ रोज़ नए फितने आ रहे हैं. तो हज़रत पीर साहब ने फरमाया, भाई इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि तुम फितनों का मुकाबला छोड़ दो. That doesn't mean you leave tackling the fitnas. Don't be disheartened. Just continue to tackle the fitnas. Then Hazrat made dua for the program that Allah makes it a success and Allah accepts. So, Alhamdulillah, we've had this on our mind. I would like to thank Mufti Tawseer Sahab. I would like to thank the Intizamiya committee of Al-Falah Masjid Birmingham as well, Imam Sahab as well, our friends who are organizing everything. May Allah reward them as well. May Allah give us tawfiq to say something which is beneficial for all of us. We would like to start off with a brief biography of Hazrat Shaykh Maulana Muhammad Zakaria Sahab, Nawwarallahu Marqadahu wa Barrada Maqja'a, and in the environment in which he wrote his book Fadhail A'mal. You have this coursework, sab to diya hai ye coursework, de do sab. You have this coursework in front of you, and Mufti Tawseer Sahab has provided very nice khulasa of biography of Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullahi alayhi. I'm not going to read it all out again, just main points. Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullahi alayhi's birth, he was born on the 10th of Ramadan in the year 1315 after Hijrah, corresponding to February 12, 1898. And Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullahi alayhi left this world on the 1st of Sha'ban 1402, corresponding to 24 May 1982. So if we take from 1315 to 1402, Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullah Alayhi's age is roughly 87. So at the age of 87, Hazrat departed from this dunya, 1982. Now, Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullah Alayhi was born in a very educated, academic household, pious personalities. Hazrat's Khandan family members are all either Huffaz, Ulama, grandmother, Hafiza of Quran, always reciting Quran. Hazrat Sheikh's father, Maulana Yahya Sahab, extremely learned personality. Hazrat Sheikh Rahmatullah Alayhi spent 8 years, up to his 8 years of his age, in Gangoh with Hazrat Maulana Rashid Ahmad Gangohi Rahmatullah Alayhi. So his du'as, Hazrat Maulana Rashid Ahmad Gangohi Rahmatullah Alayhi's du'as were attracted towards him. And that was the golden era when Hazrat Maulana Rashid Ahmad Gangohi was in his last stages of his life, at his peak. Mustajabud Da'awat, Hazrat's Khanqah, Hazrat's Murideen, and Hazrat's Fuyuz Barakat are spreading everywhere. So in that environment, Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullah Alayhi grew up. Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullah Alayhi came to Saharanpur with his father after the death of his Hazrat Buhi Rahmatullah Alayhi, and he started his studies over here, became Hafiz of Quran, studied all the books. At the age of 19, he was already graduated, completed all his studies. His father passed away when he was only 19 years old. And he studied Dore Hadith for a second time with his Shaykh Hazrat Maulana Khalil Ahmad Saharanpuri Rahmatullah. So he studied Dore Hadith twice, once with his father, Hazrat Maulana Yahya Sahab, and then again with his Shaykh Hazrat Maulana Khalil Ahmad Saharanpuri Rahmatullah. Then Hazrat Maulana Khalil Ahmad Saharanpuri Rahmatullah took him on board for writing Bazlul Majhood, which is the commentary of Abu Dawud. So Hazrat started that work, and Hazrat Shaykh used to do all the research, go through the books and provide them for Hazrat Maulana Khalil Ahmad Sahab. Then Hazrat would come and study from those chapters, and then Hazrat would dictate, and Hazrat Maulana Zakaria Sahab would write. And in this manner, the book Bazlul Majhood was compiled. So Hazrat Sheikh's connection with Hadith started as soon as he graduated. Then he started his teaching career, beginning books, and then started teaching Mishkatul Musabi, and then Bukhari Sharif in the year 1341 after Hijrah. So Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullah Alayhi was only 26 years old when he started teaching Sahih al-Bukhari. And from 1341 until 1388, that's roughly 47, 48 years, Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullah Alayhi he kept on teaching Sahih al-Bukhari. So this is his teaching career. Every year, like Mufti Tawseed Sahab was mentioning, you have to do mutala'a and teach the same subjects again and again. And Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullah Alayhi was given, ajib, andaz and way of teaching. Short words, simple words, but clear-cut explanation of the hadith and the masail and the dalail that are connected to it. Those who have studied Sahih al-Bukhari can understand that from Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullah Alayhi's Taqreer Bukhari. In Taqreer Bukhari, it's the best taqreer you can find. Even many ulama, you keep that in front of them when teaching. Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullah Alayhi's Sharh of Tirmidhi al-Kawkab al-Dirri, Maulana Hussain Ahmad Madani Rahmatullah Alayhi used to keep that in front of him when teaching Sahih Sunan al-Tirmidhi. So he was used to write very simply and in very short and succinct manner, which people used to like his wordings. So in this way, Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullah's career continued. Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullahi towards the end of his teaching career had watery eyes, and he passed on the teaching of Sahih Bukhari to others. Shaykhul Hadith Maulana Muhammad Yunus Sahib Jaunpuri Rahmatullahi alayhi, who taught Sahih Bukhari for another 50 years after Hazrat Shaykh in the madrasa of Saharanpur, Mazahir Ulum Saharanpur. Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullahi alayhi's daily routine is also mentioned over here, his personality, his characteristics, and etc. Hazrat Maulana Abul Hasan Ali Nadwi Rahmatullahi writes regarding his personality that Shaykh Zakaria was extremely vibrant, very energetic, active, light-hearted, smiling, cheerful, friendly. He often jested with his close friends and acquaintances. We saw in him good character and forbearance to people, as well as rare humility. And above all, his personal qualities were always governed by his deep faith and sense of contentment. So, this is the Shaykh's personality. As the Shaykh Rahmatullahi alayhi was praised by many scholars, Arab and non-Arabs. Hazrat Maulana Yusuf bin Nuri Rahmatullahi alayhi, the author of Ma'arif al-Sunan, has said great words in praise of Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullahi alayhi. Shaykh Saeed Ahmad, the head of the University of Aligarh, Shaykh Abul Hasan Ali Nadwi Rahmatullahi alayhi, many others have praised Shaykh Zakaria in many ways. So, Alhamdulillah, all the ulama, you see, his students, they are spread around India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, England, Canada, America, South America, Zambia, Zimbabwe, many other places. Among his students is Hazrat Ji of second Hazrat Ji of Tabligh, Hazrat Maulana Yusuf Kandalwi Rahmatullahi, his student as well and his son-in-law as well. He is the author of Amanil Ahbar Sharh Manil Asal. He is the author of Hayatul Sahaba. And he was a great speaker and orator. And as the Shaykh Rahmatullah used to say regarding him, Kana Mamluki Fadha Maliki, that he was my student, but he went ahead of me. Meaning when Hazrat Ji Maulana Yusuf Sahib went in Tabligh and went around, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him so much barakah and taraqi that Shaykh used to say, he's gone way ahead. So Hazrat Ji Maulana Yusuf Sahib Kandalwi, Maulana Inamul Hasan Kandalwi, both students of Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullah, Mufti Mahmudul Hasan Gangoi Rahmatullah, Maulana Abdul Jabbar Sahib Azmi Rahmatullah, Maulana Waidullah Sahib Baliyawi Rahmatullah, Maulana Umar Sahib Puri Rahmatullah. All these Mushayikh, great legends, students of Hazrat Shaykh Zakaria Rahmatullah. This shows the great personality of Hazrat Shaykh. Then we move on to Hazrat Shaykh's works. His Tasanif. He wrote many books. Awjaz al-Masalik, Lami al-Dirari, Al-Abwab al-Tarajim al-Bukhari, Khasail al-Nabawi, Sharh Shamail al-Tirmidhi. Now this is very beautiful. You know, Hazrat wrote it very nicely. Every word of there in Khasail al-Tirmidhi, Shamail Nabawi Shara is, you can say, to be written with golden ink. Everything sunks in very beautiful manner. It's in Urdu. It's been translated in English. Maulana Abdul Subhan has retranslated it. And inshallah it will be published by Turath Publications by that translation of Shamail Tirmizi, and you will benefit from there. The way in which Hazrat translates and explains it, beautiful manner. And then we come on to Fadhail Amal. So I want to talk a little bit about Fadhail Amal and the background of how Fadhail Amal was written. This will explain and allow us to understand the criticisms and whatever is behind that. So, Next subject we want to talk about is Fadhail Amal. When were they written and under what conditions, circumstances were they written? I'm going to give a brief account in order. Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullah Ali wrote, first of all, Fadhail al-Quran. He started writing it at the beginning of Zulhijjah in the year 1348, and he completed it on the 29th of Zulhijjah in the same year 1348. That's in less than a month. And he wrote this Kitab Fadhail al-Quran under the instruction of Hazrat Shah Yasin Nagimi Rahmatullah alayhi, who was the Khalifa of Hazrat Maulana Rashid Ahmad Gangohi Rahmatullah alayhi. So he didn't write on his own. He was encouraged and instructed to write by one of the great shuyukh of his time. So the first book he wrote was Fadhail Quran. Number two, second book he wrote after that was Fadhail Ramzan. His uncle, Hazrat Maulana Ilyas Saab Kandalvi Rahmatullah alayhi, the Bani of Tabligh, he saw that people are not paying due respect to the month of Ramadan. There is some laxity in fasting, rosas. People are not value the rosas they should, they're not fasting properly. So he wanted to have some risala about Ramadan, Fadhail, Barakat of Ramadan. Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullah alayhi wrote this book in Ramzan 1349. He started it in Ramzan, and on the 27th night of Ramzan in the same year 1349, Hazrat completed this book. That's also less than a month in which he wrote Fadhail Ramzan. Now, what is Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullah alayhi's way of writing these books? You have to read them to understand the way he writes. In the beginning, he brings Quranic verses. For example, in Fadhail al-Quran, he will bring verses regarding Quran Sharif. In Fadhail Ramzan, he will bring verses of Quran regarding Ramzan, Shahrul Ramazan, alladhi unzila fihi al-Quran, kutiba alaykum as-siyam, kama kutiba ala alladhina min qablikum. And then Hazrat mentions ahadith. He normally quotes 40 hadiths because of man hafiza ala ummati arba'in hadithan fi amri diniha, 40 hadiths. And he divides them into chapters, chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. For example, in Fadhail Ramzan, you read that Fadhail of Roza, and then he will go on to Adab of fasting, and then he will go on to Fadhail of I'tikaf, Fadhail of searching for Laylatul Qadr. So in this manner, the whole book is formed. This is the format, normal format of his books. The third book he wrote was Fadhail al-Tabligh. He started it after completing Fadhail Ramzan on the 27th of Ramzan, 1349, and then he completed it, and this also was under the instruction of his uncle Hazrat Ji Maulana Ilyas Saab Kandalvi Rahmatullah alayhi. So again, Fadhail al-Tabligh is the third book to be written by him. Number four, fourth book Hazrat wrote was Hikayat-e-Sahaba. This was also written under the instruction of some of his mashayikh. What happened was, Hazrat Shaykh Nawwarallahu in the month of Safar 1357 after Hijrah. Which year? 1357 after Hijrah, was traveling to Ajrara, name of a city, town. Along the way, he stopped at Meerut. Now in Meerut, he had nosebleed, naksir booty, और दो घड़े खून बह गया. Two large pots were filled with the blood that came out and from the nosebleed. The doctors of the time said that Hazrat, you take it easy, don't do any heavy work which is related to dimagh, dimaghi काम, because you've lost a lot of blood, don't put pressure on yourself. So Hazrat had to stop many of his dimaghi kams, rest, sleep better. So Hazrat thought to himself that I have stopped other dimaghi kam, mental work, tiring work. I might as well write this kitab which many of our mashayikh, Ghaliban Shah Yasin Sahab had instructed, that I might as well write this book of Hikayat Sahaba. Hazrat Shah Abdul Qadir Raipuri Rahmatullahi alayhi had instructed him to write Hikayat Sahaba. And he was not getting any time, so he said, this Mawqa time is Ghanima, 2-3 months. I might as well utilize this time to write Hikayat Sahaba. So he started it on the 12th of, he started it in the month of Safar and completed it on the 12th of Shawwal, 1357. Now, over here, Dr. Akram Nadwi said that Shaykh Hazrat Shaykh Zakaria had some mental problem when he was writing Fadhail Amal. I'll read what he said. He says in one of his speeches, and try to understand one thing really, most of the people who, when they write things on Sufism, then they shut down their mind of faqih and thinking. They just follow this blindly as a Sufi. Then even the hadiths which are fabricated, they don't care, they don't check, just keep repeating. Same person, when it comes to madhab, they say no, this hadith is weak, it is mursal, this and that. They are great faqih and muhaddis, but the same person, when he writes on Sufism, no mursal, no munqati, every hadith is hadith sahih. They don't care about anything. They shut their mind properly. You can see it. Like for example, Shaykh Zakaria, I respect him. When he writes Sharh of Awjazul Masalik or Muwatta and this and that, you can see he is faqih and a muhaddis and this and that. Same person when writing book on Fadhail Amal, fabricated hadith, munkar hadith, and all those things, no discussion, no argument, every single thing he copies of the book and takes it as it is. It is not right. People are not consistent. There are very few people in the world who are always consistent. Most people are non-consistent. He went on to say that Shaykh Zakaria had some dimaghi problem, mental problem when he was writing Fadhail Amal. Now, I want to say, what was this dimaghi taklif? And when was it? It was only temporarily. And he had stopped the other work and he was resting, relaxing. His mind was he was in the right frame of mind when writing these kitabs. And this is not book of Fadhail, he was writing Hikayat Sahaba at the time. Hikayat Sahaba. There's nothing of Fadhail in there, it's only Hikayat, stories of Sahabe Kiram Rizwanullahi Alayhim Ajma'een. Now he makes this foundation and then based on that he puts the whole building, but the foundation is weak, so the whole building, whatever he says after that, is weak as well. There are others on Facebook like Ismail Ibrahim, who used to call himself Hadith Hammam. He goes on to say that a long list of things like Shaykh Zakaria towards the end, Nauzubillah, was senile, didn't know what he was saying, and he was writing these books of Fadhail. And then he goes on to say so many narrators of hadith towards the end of their life were not mentally fit. And scholars have said, Muhaddiseen have said that Ibn Abi Sabra, Ibn Lahi'a, so and so, towards the end of their lives, they were not in the right frame of mind, so their hadiths are not reliable. Therefore, Shaykh Zakaria's Fadhail are not reliable either. Now, this is what I'm trying to say. Shaykh Zakaria is not towards the end of his life. What year did he write Hikayat Sahaba when he fell ill? 1357. And what year did he die? 1402. How many years after writing this kitab? 42 and 3, 45. So he remained alive for 45 years after writing this kitab. And this was a temporary illness where Hakim said that don't put any pressure on your dimag because you've lost a lot of blood. So Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullah, it was just temporarily for a few days, weeks, and he was resting. So he wrote this kitab. He was mentally okay, just physically weak. So it seems that these people have some biasness against Hazrat Shaykh. They have some problem with Hazrat Shaykh. Their objections are not based on any academic or intellectual level. They just want to get their inside Hussan, Hasad, and whatever is inside out on Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullahi. Hazrat Shaykh's third kitab is this Hikayat-e-Sahaba. Then Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullahi wrote Fadhail-e-Namaz, virtues of Salah. This was also under the instruction of his uncle Hazrat Maulana Ilyas Sahab. He completed Fadhail-e-Namaz on the 7th of Muharram 1358 after Hijrah. Fadhail-e-Zikr. Next one is Fadhail-e-Zikr. Hazrat Shaykh completed this kitab and on the 26th of Shawwal 1358 after Hijrah. This also under the instruction of his uncle Hazrat Ji Maulana Ilyas Sahab Rahmatullahi. And then next book he wrote was Fadhail-e-Hajj. His cousin and his student Hazrat Ji Maulana Yusuf Kandalwi Rahmatullahi did Israr. He was adamant that you should write a book about virtues of Hajj. So Hazrat Shaykh started writing this kitab on the 3rd of Shawwal 1366 after Hijrah, and he completed it on the 14th of Jumad al-Ula 1367. Next book, Fadhail-e-Sadaqat. Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullahi alayhi's Chacha Jan, Hazrat Maulana Ilyas Sahab Rahmatullahi alayhi, had encouraged him and instructed him to write some book about zakat and about tijarat, business, trade and commerce. So 2 books. So Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullahi alayhi wrote Fadhail-e-Sadaqat, which is general, and it includes zakat as well and nafli sadaqat as well. And it's a beautiful book. It's this thick and amazing book. It changed the lives of many businessmen, traders. Hazrat Shaykh got letters from many people that Alhamdulillah, your book Fadhail-e-Sadaqat has changed my life, transformed me into a better person. Our Hazrat Maulana Yusuf Mutala Sahab Damat Barakatuhum says that when I became bayat with Hazrat Shaykh Zakaria Rahmatullahi alayhi, the first complete book which I read was Fadhail-e-Sadaqat. In my free time, I used to sit down and keep reading Fadhail-e-Sadaqat. And Fadhail-e-Sadaqat taught me how to cry in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because at the end of Fadhail-e-Sadaqat, there are 70 stories of Zahideen, Abideen, who worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and who are really ascetic people. When you read their biographies, their incidents, their stories, it brings that softness and gentleness in your heart, and it brings tears to your eyes. So Fadhail-e-Sadaqat is an amazing book. It's the thickest book from among the Tasanif of Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullah. Fadhail-e-Sadaqat है मतलब ये Fadhail-e-Amal है. दिखाओ Fadhail-e-Sadaqat यहाँ कहीं हो तो ला वो भी दिखा देते हैं. Okay, this is the book Fadhail-e-Amal. Okay, and in there is the 7 books, and then Fadhail-e-Sadaqat is different. दिखा दो ये है, इतनी थिक किताब है Fadhail-e-Sadaqat. आप देख लो कितने पेजेस हैं इसमें, 700 pages. This is the book Fadhail-e-Sadaqat. Every household should have this book. And you should do ta'aleem. When I was young, my mother used to read stories from here of Hazrat Behlul Rahmatullahi alayhi, Hazrat Sayyidina Hassan, Sayyidina Hussain, Imam Zainul Abidin, Imam Ja'far Sadiq Rahmatullahi alayhi, and their stories are mentioned in there by Hazrat Shaykh towards the end. The story of the son of Harun Rashid. Beautiful stories. They soften our hearts and bring us towards Akhirah, distance us from the dunya and bring us closer to Akhirah. So, Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullahi alayhi's eighth book which he wrote was this one, Fadhail Sadaqat, completed it on 22nd of Safar 1368 after Hijrah. And the ninth and the last book Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullahi wrote was Fadhail Durud Sharif. Hazrat Shah Yasin Nagimi Rahmatullahi alayhi had instructed him to write Fadhail of Durud Sharif, virtues of Salat and Sana upon the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Hazrat Shaykh says that I intended to write, but it kept on delaying and delaying until Hazrat Shah Yasin Sahab passed away. And he left some instruction to his students that keep urging Shaykh Zakaria to write Fadhail Durud Sharif. So his students kept on, requesting until Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullahi says that unki intiqal ke baad likhi, he wrote it, he started writing it on the 25th of Ramadan, the year 1384 after Hijrah, and completed it on the 6th of Zulhijjah 1384. So that's 1384. Hazrat Shaykh remained alive after that for how many years? From 1384 to 1402. That's 18 years. So he has written all these books of Fadhail, completed them, all of them, 18 years before he passed away. So Na'uzubillah, he was not senile. He had no mental problem when he was writing these kitabs. He was in proper state of mind, proper health at that time when he was writing these. So these people who make such objections on Fadhail Amal have to get their act straight and stop accusing Hazrat Shaykh Zakaria Rahmatullahi of something that is against the truth and that is not the reality. Hazrat Shaykh is Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullahi. We have just heard Allama Yusuf bin Nuri, Hazrat Maulana Abul Hassan Nadwi, and all as his students, and all praising Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullahi. We will continue after this, go on to the main point of our discussion today, inshallah. But this is just a little bit about Hazrat Shaykh Zakaria Rahmatullahi, biography, his authoring of these books, the environment, how he did wrote them. Something which is amazing is Islam. I think I missed one of the kitabs. Did I mention Fadhail Namaz? And then Fadhail Zikr in the middle. Fadhail Zikr, Hazrat Shaykh Abdul wrote under the instruction of his Chacha and completed in 26 Shawwal 1358. The point I want to make here is Islam is based on 5 pillars: Kalmah Shahadat, Namaz, Roza, Zakat, Hajj. If you see these books of Fadhail, they are covered in these 5 pillars. In Fadhail Zikr, there is a chapter on Kalmah La ilaha illallah and the Zikr of La ilaha illallah. Afzalu Zikr La ilaha illallah. Virtues of Zikr, virtues of Tasbih, strengthening the Iman through Zikr. So, that's Kalmah Shahadat, Fadhail, Imaniyat, Fadhail. And then we have Fadhail Namaz, Fadhail Ramzan, which is about Roza, and Fadhail Sadaqat, which is about Zakat, and Fadhail Hajj. So 5 pillars. Masail, Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullahi alayhi, Maulana Ilyas Sahab Rahmatullahi said, you learn from Ulama-i Kiram. But general public should be encouraged with Fadhail. We should say things which open up the hearts of the community. Our hearts open up like the rose flower opening up, and we feel like practicing on what we hear. This is the reason why Fadhail are written. And to bring Ummah closer to the deen, we have to mention Fadhail to them. If we keep mentioning, iqab, and the warnings, then people get restless and they get, agitated. Oh, wow, yeah, azab, azab, jahannam, 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 dozakh, azab. So people get, scared, shaken. They run away. But if you mention fadail, this fazila, this virtue, this virtue, this virtue, our heart open up and we feel like practicing. So, Fadhail books were written by our Salafi Salihin as well. So, Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullah wrote these books of Fadhail in order to bring the Ummah closer to practicing, closer to namaz, closer to zikr, closer to fasting, closer to giving sadaqat and charity, closer to going for Hajj. And when you read that book of Fadhail, you feel like going and traveling for Hajj. So these books, and number two, so Hazrat Shaykh Abdul covered the 5 pillars of Islam, one point. And number two, one thing sometimes I, think over this amazing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Allah. He works in mysterious ways. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala selects people, chooses them, and takes the work of deen from them according to the need of era. You see, we see from the beginning, at the turn of the 1st century, we see Hazrat Umar ibn Abdul Aziz rahmatullahi alayhi. He instructs the muhaddithin to compile the hadith in the forms of booklets. And Ibn Shihab Zuhri, Abu Bakr ibn Muhammad ibn Amr ibn Hazm, and others, they compile their hadith and send those books to Hazrat Umar ibn Abdul Aziz. Books were written before that, but then people pay their more attention in collecting ahadith in the forms of books. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did ilham and inspired Umar ibn Abdul Aziz towards this. Then we see Hazrat Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi alayhi. He sees that people are picking and choosing from hadith. There needs to be some fundamentals, usuls, principles, rules, regulations from which masail can be derived, deduced from Quran and Hadith. So he explains those usul of deriving masail, usul fiqh. So he establishes fiqh and usul fiqh. Then we see time passes and people's attention are drifting towards all types of hadith. So we see Imam Bukhari rahmatullahi alayhi, Allah chooses Imam Bukhari rahmatullahi alayhi to differentiate between the top draw, top level ahadith and those which have a little bit of weakness in them. So muhaddithin categorize the ahadith, that this hadith is sahih li zatihi, sahih li ghayrihi, hasan li zatihi, hasan li ghayrihi, za'if, munkar, mawdu. So they categorize them and elaborate on them. So Imam Bukhari worked really hard, tirelessly to get the ahadith of the top draw, top category, in which every hadith, every narrator from Imam Bukhari to his ustad, to ustad al-ustad, to ustad al-ustad al-ustad, to sahabi, tabi'i, sahabi, tabi'i, sahabi, to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, every narrator is thiqah, adil, tam, muzabb, kasirul mulazama, busy in teaching and learning hadith, and reliable. So these narrators, Imam Bukhari takes from them and compiles Sahih al-Bukhari. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saw that this is the need of the time. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took that work from him. And time moves on. Time comes when Mu'tazilah are at their peak and they are corrupting aqaid. And Allah selects Imam Abu Hasan Ash'ari rahmatullahi alayhi, Imam Abu Mansur Maturidi rahmatullahi alayhi, and who tackle the Mu'tazilah and they clear out and clarify things. So this is Allah choosing those Aimman to do that work at that time when it's needed. Time comes when philosophers are raising their heads and people are going into philosophy. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings forth Imam Ghazali rahmatullahi. And Imam Ghazali rahmatullahi explains the sciences and the wisdom behind the ahkam of Sharia. And he tackles philosophy head on. He himself studies philosophy, goes deep into philosophy, and then he writes Al-Munqidh min al-Dalal, and then he writes Ihya Ulum al-Din. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives him the rank of Mujaddidiyyat of that time. He died in the year 505 after Hijrah, and he slaughtered the philosophers. And he rejuvenated and breathed life into Muslims of that time, and he strengthened Islam with his words. So we see each era, whatever is needed. Time comes of Hafiz ibn Hajar al-Asqalani rahmatullahi alayhi. There is need, there is qarz, debt upon the ummah of Sharh of Sahih al-Bukhari. So Imam Hafiz ibn Hajar al-Asqalani rahmatullahi alayhi is the beautiful Sharh of Sahih Bukhari, Fathul Bari. Allah uses him to do that work at that time. That was the need of the time. Al-Alam Badruddin Aini rahmatullahi alayhi is contemporary. They both write beautiful shuruhat of Sahih al-Bukhari. And similarly, time moves on at the turn of the first millennium. Islam is more focused on the Indian subcontinent, and the civilization of Indian subcontinent is at its peak at that time. And Mujaddid al-Fisani rahmatullahi, Shaykh Ahmad Sarhindi comes. When there is Akbar who is inventing Deen Ilahi and who is saying that all mazahib are equal, everything is okay, you can worship whatever you want, you can worship the cow, you can worship the cross, you can worship this, you can worship that, and you can avoid worship if you want to, whatever religion, all religion or no religion are all same. So in his book in Lal Qila, he has a corner like Hyde Park corner, and people come and discuss about their deen and their beliefs, and they have everything in there. You can worship whoever you want, whatever you want. There is freedom. The only religion which does not have freedom is Islam. The other religions all have freedom. But you can't keep a beard, and you can't do this, you can't celebrate this, you can't do that. So these are the innovations which Akbar had brought in that Deen Ilahi. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose Hazrat Mujaddid al-Fisani, Shaykh Ahmad Sarhindi rahmatullahi, to get rid of all those bid'at and to breathe life into Islam and Muslims again. That's why he's classed as Mujaddid al-Fisani rahmatullahi. Then time comes of Shah Waliullah Muhaddis Dehlvi rahmatullahi. In India, there is more focus on Mantiq and Falsafa. Shah Waliullah Muhaddis Dehlvi rahmatullahi travels to Medina Sharif, stayed there for nearly 2 years. And then he comes back and he focuses more on Hadith Sharif. And through him, the whole Indian subcontinent is directed towards Hadith, Quran and Hadith. Rather than aql and logic, they focus more on naql and narration and riwayat. And he explains to people that naql and riwayat takes precedence over aql and logic. If something, aql is in confirmation with naql, okay. But if it goes against naql, then we will put the aql down and we will use the naql and riwayat whether we understand or not. Because everything in Quran and Hadith is in confirmation with the aql. There is nothing in Quran and Hadith which goes against logic. It can be above logic, beyond logic. Because every person's intellect is different. So someone might not understand something from the logical side, but there is logic in there. So just because I can't understand it, that does not mean there's no logic in there. There is logic in there. There is some wisdom behind it, but I can't understand it. So I have to criticize my own understanding, not the naql and the riwayat. And this is happening today as well. Many people are criticizing riwayat and saying this riwayat is not mu'tabar, that is not mu'tabar, because it goes against aql. And one of those chaps is over here in Birmingham, Abu Lais, Nahi Majmal. He's attacking Sahih al-Bukhari and he's saying it's not proven. Sahih Bukhari, Nauzubillah, Firabri narrated, where are the 90,000 students of Imam Bukhari and there are many hadiths in Bukhari which go against the logic. And this hadith which criticize Ummahatul Mu'mineen and this manner. So we will throw that hadith away and we will protect the honor and dignity of Ummahatul Mu'mineen. My dear friend, if you don't understand the reason behind those hadith, that does not mean there is no explanation behind it. And this behavior of criticizing Sahih al-Bukhari just because you don't understand the hadith is not the right course of action. But there were people at that time as well. So Shah Waliullah Muhaddis Dehlavi rahmatullahi explained that to the community that we have to hold on to Quran, Hadith, Naql and give precedence to Naql and Riwayat and Hadith over our own logic. And don't go towards Mantiq and Falsafa and philosophy, turn towards Quran and Hadith and Naql. So in this manner, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is taking the work of the need of time from the ulama, sulaha, mashayikh, ahlullah. Then we have the establishment of our Darul Ulum Deoban, Mazahir Ulum Saharanpur. These idaras, they were established for a reason. There was a purpose behind establishing these institutes. They were the need of the time. They were the need of the time. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used Hazrat Maulana Qasim Nanutbi rahmatullahi alayhi, Hazrat Maulana Rashid Ahmad Gangohi rahmatullahi alayhi to establish these institutes, and Allah protected them through them. And then we have this era of when the da'wah work is spreading and people are grown closer to the deen through working, going around, knocking on people's doors, bringing them to the masjid, bringing them to salah. Hazrat Ji Maulana Ilyas Sahib rahmatullahi alayhi, was inspired by Allah to start this da'wah work. In his biography, you will read that Hazrat Ji was a very, weak, frail, short personality, and he was busy in his teaching, education, in his ma'mulat, in his wazaif, zikr, fikr, tilawat, tasmihat. He traveled for Hajj, and he was intending to go to Medina Sharif first, but then he thought that no, I am a sinful person, I can't go to Medina Sharif in this sinful state. I might as well go to Makkah Mukarramah first, and then do some tawbah, istighfar, gain forgiveness, then go in the presence of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So he stayed in Ramadan until Hajj, and after Hajj he went to Medina Sharif. And he stayed there. He was thinking of staying there in Medina Sharif and spending the rest of his life there. But he got indication from the Rawza Sharifa, from Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam, that go back to Hindustan, inshallah we will take work of deen from you. So he was really, shaken. He spoke to the elder brother of Hazrat Maulana Sayyid Hussain Ahmad Madani rahmatullahi alayhi, who said that, why are you so worried? You've not been told that go over there and do work. You've been told that work will be taken from you. So go, work will be taken from you. So when he returned, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala busied him in this work of da'wah. And he started work among the community of Mewat, and who were very, very far from deen. They used to celebrate Diwali, they used to celebrate Holi, and they used to celebrate Eid, and they used to keep long moustache and shaved beard. Half of them like Hindu and half of them like Muslim. They used to do some mushrikana stuff as well. So Hazrat used to go, bring them to the masjid, rectify them, and slowly they start praying salat, their aqidas are getting correct, and alhamdulillah they keeping beard, ittibai sunnah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought them closer to the deen. And in this way the work spread and millions of people's lives were transformed. So there was the need to encourage people to practice. This is why Hazrat Ji Maulana Ilyas Sahib told Hazrat Sheikhs to write these books of Fadhail. So it was the need of the time. Now look, if Imam Bukhari was in the time of Imam Abu Hanifa, and he would have wrote Sahih Bukhari, that would not be right. If Imam Abu Hanifa was in the time of Imam Ghazali, then he would have had to do what Imam Ghazali did, because that's the need of the time. So at that time the need was to write these books of Fadhail so people can be brought closer to the deen. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala inspired Hazrat Shaykh rahmatullahi alayhi through his mashayikh. These are all Ahlullah, ulama, tahajjud guzar. They never miss their tahajjud salat, let alone missing their sunnahs, or let alone missing faraz. Today we miss many farais, we miss many sunnahs, we miss many wajibat, let alone tahajjud and zikr and tasbihat and tilawat al-Quran. These are ulama, Ahlullah, sulaha, mashayikh, zahideen, abideen. Allah inspires them. Allah inspired them to write these books of Fadhail. So, the second point I was trying to make by bringing this long history is that Fadhail A'mal were the need of the time. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala changed the lives of millions of people through Fadhail A'mal. Fadhail A'mal has been translated into more than 30 languages. How many languages? It's been translated in Arabic as well by the ulama of Nadwa. And the ulama of Arab also use this. And 30 languages. And millions of copies have been spread around the world. So, some of our ulama mashayikh have said it is the most read book after Quran Sharif. In the whole world, the most read book is Fadhail Amal after Quran Sharif. Quran Sharif is number one, but after Quran Sharif, because everywhere you go, there is Tablighi Jamaat. And Jamaat read Fadhail Amal. In their morning ta'aleem, they read Fadhail Sadaqat. And they read Fadhail Zikr. You know, people say ta'aleem of Fadhail Amal. Our Ustad, Hazrat Shaykh Yunus Sahib Rahmatullah alayhi. I was with him for a few days in Ramzan. In his majlis, every day Fazail Ramzan's ta'aleem was done. Such a great Shaykh. But in his majlis, every day, few pages from Fazail Ramazan were read. In fact, I read this incident once during the life of Hazrat Shaykh when he was Hayat. There was mashwara in Ramazan that the daily ta'aleem from which book should we read. So some of the mashayikh said we should read Maktubat Mujaddid Sahib, Mujaddid Al-Fistani Rahmatullah alayhi's letters. Shaykh Yunus Sahib said, my opinion is we should read the book of Fazail by Hazrat Shaykh, Fadhail Amal. And the reason he gave was that Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullah has written this book on Hadith Sharif. There are only ahadith in here. It's filled with ahadith. And number two, when the book of an author is read in his presence, then the barakat and the ruhaniyat and spirituality increases. So this was his opinion. However, first of all, the maktubat were began. They started reading from maktubat. After a few days, they started Fadhail Amal. I went to Meerut, Mufti Farooq Sahib, and there was ta'aleem in Ramzan from Asr till Maghrib. From Asr till Maghrib, over 1 hour ta'aleem. And they were reading this Fazail book from beginning till end. And Hazrat Mufti Farooq Sahib said that around the world in Ramzan they only read Fazail Ramzan. But here in Meerut, we read the whole Fazail. From beginning till end. All in the part 1, there are 7 books, and in part 2, there are 2. Fadhail Sadaqat and Fadhail Hajj in part 2, and in part 1 there are 7. There used to be 7, but there are 6 now. The Fadhail Durood, besides Fadhail Durood. So he said we read all this kitab throughout Ramzan from beginning till end. We complete the whole Fadhail Amal in the month of Ramzan. Fadhail Namaz, Fadhail Zikr, Fadhail Quran, Hikayat Sahaba, Fadhail Tabligh, Fadhail Ramzan. Everything is read throughout the whole month of Ramzan. So this shows the acceptance Allah Pak has granted to this book. So we see over here, Alhamdulillah, Fadhail Amal, background, it's maqbooliyat in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, most read book around the world. Now we go on to today's lesson. Is this book Fadhail Amal authentic? Now, I want to ask a question. When you say is it authentic, what do you mean by that? What does authenticity mean in your mind? Is it the Arabic word of Sahih? Well, if that was in your mind, then Sahih is an academic terminology, istilah. Mufti Tawseer Sahib will explain what is Sahih. And I indicated towards it during the conversation that Sahih is, in the eyes of Muhaddithin, is such a hadith which is narrated by a narrator who is Muslim, who is thiqah, reliable, who is adil, who is sahibul murubat, who is tamul zabt, and who is tawilul mulazamat ma'a shaykh, and there is no shuzuz in that riwayat, and there is no illat and defect in that riwayat. That riwayat is classed as sahih. Now what will you understand by that? You have to study with Mufti Tawseer Sahib, Alim class, for 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. Then you will understand this terminology of Sahih Lizatihi top category of hadith. Then we have after that Sahih li ghayrihi, which is not reaching that top level, just a little bit below it. Then we have Hasan li zatihi, and then we have Hasan li ghayrihi, and then we have Zaif. Now, Zaif is that in which all the sharait of Sahih do not prevail. Some are missing in there. The narrator is Muslim, that's necessary. But with regards to Saqahat, he might not be that strong the Ravi. With regards to Tamul Waqt, his memory might be a little bit weak. He might get a little confused sometimes. And then Tawilul Mulazamat, he might not have stayed in the sohbat and company of his teachers for a long period. Or he might have studied and then went on to some other line, like business, trade here and there for a few years, and then he came back into the field of hadith. So maybe there is some, because of the missing period, he might have missed some things out. There might be some shuzuz in there, isolation. One narrator is isolated. We have a class of 50 students over here, and the teacher said something, narrated something. Now 10, 15 students are narrating one thing, but one student lifts his hand and he narrates something else as well. This is called shuzuz, isolation. That this one single narrator is narrating a different word. Why are the others not narrating it? So this makes his narration weak. Or there is some illat, some defect in there. Now this ilatul hadith is an amazing fund. And it's ilham. Abdul Rahman ibn Mahdi used to say, Ma'rifatul hadith ilham. It's inspiration from Allah. Sometimes a muhaddith can figure out some defect in a narration, but he's unable to explain it with his words. It's like, the goldsmith, jeweler. He looks at the, gold and he knows the defect in there just by looking at it. He might not be able to explain it in words, but he knows how many carats it is, how much mixture is in there, how much defect is in there. So this is based on experience. The muhaddithin spend their lives in hadith, so they get this expertise in there to understand that hidden defects in narration. Imam Bukhari rahmatullah alayhi was at the top of this. Once Imam Muslim rahmatullah alayhi mentioned some hadith, and he said this hadith is sahih. Imam Bukhari said, no, there is some defect in there. What defect in there? He said this mentioned something very minute. Imam Muslim's mind was not towards that. And he was just amazed. And he said, دعني أقبل رجليك يا أستاذ الأستاذين وسيد المحدثين وطبيب الحديث في علله. Let me kiss your feet, O teacher of all teachers, leader of muhaddithin, and the doctor of the ilal and the hidden defects of hadith, the sickness in the hadith. So there might be some ill in the hadith which makes it weak. So this is dhaif hadith, which does not reach that top level. However, all the ahadith are hadith. Do you get it? Which hadith is not hadith? Mawdu', fabricated. Something which the Prophet ﷺ did not say. Someone else said it. Who said it? Whoever said it. Something from previous eras like Sukrat, Bukrat, Aflatun. You bring their sayings, something regarding medical science, that you drink water, cold water in the morning, this is going to happen, hot water, this is going to happen. Now you say you relate it as a hadith, but the Prophet ﷺ never said that. So that's mawdu, that's fabrication. You bring something from, let's say, Shakespeare, and you say this is hadith, nauzubillah. So this is mawdu, that's fabrication, that's not right. Now, when we get this type of mawdu, fabrication, we ourselves say, this is not right, this is wrong, this is not authentic. But when we get some dhaif hadith, we can't class it as the same as mawdu. There's difference between dhaif and mawdu. You have to understand that difference. This is something academic. Many people today confuse the mass and the general public by saying this hadith is zaif, throw it away. But that's not right. You can't throw zaif hadith away. Let me quote something from our Shaykh. Other Shaykh Yunus once we were with him in Hajj and we were doing Sa'i, and sometimes during Sa'i he used to talk because in Tawaf you should remain quiet, busy in dhikr, but in Sa'i you're allowed to say something which is beneficial. So we were walking in Sa'i and he suddenly started talking and he started saying something about Hadith, and he said, in Hadith Sharif, 1/4 of the Hadith reach the top level of Sahih, and 3/4 are of Zaif nature. And the contradictions come in Ahadith because of the Zaif Ahadith. In Sahih Ahadith, there is no contradiction. If you take all the Zi'af away, then there won't be any contradiction and tanaquz between the Sahih Ahadith. Now, what do we understand from there? That Sahih Hadith 1/4, if you throw all the Zaif Hadith in the garbage dustbin, nauzubillah, class them as mawdu', then you are throwing away 3/4 of the collection of Hadith. How can you throw away 3/4 of the collection of Hadith? One of our ulama said, Zaif Hadith is Zaif. What does Zaif mean? Weak. So he said, if we have someone zaif in our community, we don't bang them down, throw them away, we support them. Zaif आदमी को सहारा देते हैं, support देते हैं, help करते हैं, मदद करते हैं, उसको चलाते हैं, हिम्मत देते हैं, उसको फेंक नहीं देते, उसको ठुकरा नहीं देते, फेंक नहीं देते. You don't throw the zaif person away. You take it, you respect it, you take it forward. So when you see some hadith, even if it's zaif, what should your attitude be? You look for something that supports it from other books, from other asanid, from elsewhere. And this is exactly what Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullah does in Fadhail Amal. He knows that this hadith might be zaif, but he brings other quotes as well. That this hadith is in Tabrani, in Darimi, in Bayhaqi, is in Musnad Ahmad, narrated by so and so. He has 40 ahadith, and in one hadith he puts the Arabic, and then he gives the takhrij of every hadith, and he quotes the various muhaddithin who have narrated that hadith, and then he puts a footnote, and in that footnote he brings more hadith of the same subject. So this strengthens and puts an emphasis on that hadith. Example, the hadith of 80 times durood salawat on Friday after Asr, narrated by Imam Sahabi Rahmatullah. Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullah narrates a few more various narrations under it, and then he says that because of all these other supporting evidences, this hadith reaches the rank of Hasan. And then he also brings that on Friday we have been encouraged to increase our salawat. So it's Friday, it's after Asr time, it's Barakati time. Du'as after Asr are accepted. Between Asr and Maghrib is the time of zikr. The Sa'atul Istijaba, Sa'atul Ijaba, the moment of acceptance of du'as is between Asr and Maghrib, just before Maghrib. And this is why Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullah's habit throughout his whole life was that on Friday, Hazrat Shaykh would not go home after Asr. He would remain in Maghrib after Asr until Maghrib time. So that period of 1.5 to 2 hours, Hazrat would spend inside Masjid. He would busy himself in zikr, in salawat, in durood sharif, and then du'as at the end before Maghrib. He would say, this is barakati time. How can we waste time? If we go home, we're going to waste the time. So we might as well stay in the Masjid. So reading salawat on Friday is an established factor in Quran and Hadith. Inna Allah wa malaikatahu yusalluna ala nabi. So salat, increasing salawat. And then on Friday, there are in Fadhail Durood, there are hadiths which say, when it's Friday, read salat and salam upon me in abundance, because it is a day in which there is presence of malaika, and whenever one of you finishes his durood and salawat, they are immediately presented to me, and I make dua and istighfar for you. So these are hadiths supported in various ways. So Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullah brings a hadith, supports it. This is how our attitude should be. Some people today, especially the non-muqallideen, they say that Zaif hadith should be disregarded, and this is where the problem comes. So now we go on to the subject of, are there any Zaif ahadith in Fadhail Amal? We will say yes, we don't deny. But there's no only Zaif hadith, Sahih hadith as well. Don't say there's only Zaif hadith. Sahih hadith. Over here, I have this book. Beautiful book. You see this thick book? This is all about تحقيق المقال في تخريج أحاديث فضائل الأعمال. It's about 650 pages. It's written by Hazrat Maulana Latifur Rahman al-Bahraiji al-Qasimi, who lives in Makkah Mukarramah. It was written under the instruction of Hazrat Maulana Abdul Hafiz Makki Rahmatullah. In the first 300 pages, he's discussed various issues, but in the last 300 pages, he's gone over all of the ahadith in in Fadhail Amal, scrutinized them. He's explained how many Sahih ahadith throughout the whole collection of the 9 books of Fadhail Amal, how many Hasan and how many Zi'af. We start from here. I think we'll cover that later on, maybe if we get time. But he starts from this المدخل في تخريج أحاديث كتب فضائل الأعمال التسعة للشيخ الإمام المحدث محمد زكريا الصديقي الكاندلوي رحمة الله عليه. I forgot to mention this. Hazrat Maulana Muhammad Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullah alayhi is from the descendants of Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anhu. Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anhu is his great-great-grandfather. Like we have Sayyids, descendants of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Hazrat Shaykh Zakaria is Siddiq. And this nisbat also has an effect in it. So remember that. Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullah alayhi's book, he says, وَهِيَ مُنْقَسِمَةٌ إِلَىٰ عِدَّةِ فُصُولٍ. There are various fusul chapters in there, 8 fusul. الفصل الأول في تخريج الأحاديث الصحيحة التي اتفق عليها الشيخان البخاري ومسلم رحمهما الله. Throughout the whole collection, those ahadith which are in Bukhari and Muslim both. في ذكر الأحاديث الصحيحة التي انفرد بها البخاري. Those ahadith which are only in Bukhari. الفصل الثالث إمام مسلم which are only in Sahih Muslim. الفصل الرابع في تخريج الأحاديث الصحيحة التي أخرجها غيرهما وهي صحيحة لذاتها. Those ahadith which are in books other than Bukhari, Muslim, but they are Sahih لذاتها. And number 5, تخريج الأحاديث الصحيحة لغيرها. الفصل السادس في تخريج الأحاديث الحسنة لذاتها. الفصل السابع في تخريج الأحاديث الحسنة لغيرها. And الفصل الثامن في تخريج الأحاديث الضعيفة. So in these 300 pages, he scrutinized all those ahadith which are in Fadhail Amal, and most of them are from the first 7 categories, some from the last category of Zaif. So you can't say that the whole of Fadhail Amal is filled with Zaif. Are you following me? It's got all types of ahadith. In Fadhail Amal, there are some Zaif hadith as well. We don't deny that. However, we need to understand what is the rank of Zaif hadith and what is the status of Zaif hadith for Fadhail Amal. Can we use Zaif hadith in Fadhail Amal or not? Do you get it? So there are 3 things over here. Number 1 is Aqidah, beliefs. Number 2 is Ahkam, Masail, Halal, Haram, Jaiz, Najaiz, Faraz, Ahkam. And number 3 is Fazail, virtues. So for aqaid, you need something very strong. You need to bring some aqidah daleel. You need some nass qat'i from either Quran or hadith mutawatir. For masail, you need hadith sahih. That you want to establish that this, masail of salat, how to raise your hands, how to fold them, what to recite, sana, A'udhu Billah, Bismillah, Surah Fatiha, Quran, and then tasbihat of ruku, tasbihat of sujood, Sami Allahu liman hamida, Rabbana lakal hamd, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, At-Tahiyyatu lillah, Durush Sharif, Dua. All these are masail. Roza, fasting, what breaks roza, what doesn't break roza, vomit breaks roza or not, hajama and cupping breaks roza or not. These are masail. Zakat, zakat of gold, zakat of silver, and zakat of animals, zakat of other, assets, tijarat, zakat on horses, valid or not, how much to give on there. These are masail. In Hajj, tawaf, is wuzu necessary for tawaf or not? Can you do tawaf without wuzu? Sa'i, is it necessary for wuzu necessary for sa'i? Tawaf qudum, tawaf wida, tawaf ifaza. What is faraz, what is wajib, what is sunnah? These are masail. Halal, haram, jaiz, najaiz. Is this halal, is this haram? Is this jaiz, is this najaiz? You need some sahih hadith for that. These are ahkam. And then we have fadhail. Fadhail means virtue. If you do this, you get this much thawab. If you read Qul huwallahu ahad once, it's like reading 1/3 of Quran. So this is fazilah. Now, if there is a zaif hadith regarding that, it will be accepted. It doesn't have to be of the top category of sahih, because this is not a masala of halal, haram, jaiz, najaiz. It's just a virtue. And virtues can be established with zaif hadith. Kalma la ilaha illallah afzalu dhikr. So, it's afzalu dhikr. La ilaha illallah, it's not a mas'al, it's a virtue. So you need Sahih Hadith is enough for that. If you get Sahih Hadith, Alhamdulillah. If you don't get Sahih Hadith, then the Zaif Hadith will also be accepted. If you read Mishkatul Masabih, then in Mishkatul Masabih, in every chapter, there are 3 sections. Al-Faslul Awwal, in which there is Hadith Sahih of Bukhari Muslim. Al-Faslul Thani, in the Hadith of other books of Sunan Arba'ah and Sunan Darimi and Tirmidhi, Bayhaqi, others. And in the Faslul Thani, what Sahib Mishkat had missed out, whether it's in Bukhari, Muslim or in other books. So over there, you can see that in Fasl Thani and Thali, there might be many ahadith of that chapter which are weak and zaif. So there is no harm in bringing zaif ahadith for mentioning a virtue of an action, a virtue of a deed. Now, this is an established fact. In fact, Imam Nawawi Rahmatullah has written that Kal ijma', it's like consensus on this fact that there is, you can use a zaif, weak hadith for virtues. Then we have the quotes from various akabir. Abdul Rahman ibn Mahdi Rahmatullahi alayhi, one of the greatest authorities in the field of Asma'ul Rijal, died in the year 198. He says, when we narrate regarding reward, punishment, and virtues of actions, we are lenient with respect to the chains of transmission and narrators. And when we narrate regarding lawful, unlawful, halal, haram, we are strict with respect to the narrators. Imam Abu Bakr al-Bayhaqi died 485. Rahmatullah says, the scholars of hadith adopted lenience in accepting what has come of supplications and virtues of actions, provided they are not from the narrations of those known to fabricate hadith or lie in narrating. Imam Ibn Abdul Barr Rahmatullah says, virtues are narrated from all narrators. Proof from a chain of transmission, isnad, perspective is only thoroughly verified in rulings and in the lawful and unlawful. The scholars have always been lenient in narrating hadiths on virtues of actions from all narrators. They were not as critical regarding them as they were with hadith on rulings. It is worth noting that both the hadith under which Imam Abdul Raheem made these comments are extremely weak due to the presence of a discarded matruk narrated in their chains. In fact, Allama ibn Taymiyyah rahmatullahi writes in his book Al-Qa'idah Al-Jalila fi Tawassul wal-Wasila, with commentary of Dr. Rabi' ibn Haydar Umair, professor in the Islamic University of Medina Munawwara, page 162, he writes, but Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal rahmatullahi alayhi and other scholars permitted the narration of hadith regarding the virtues of good, what is not established as authentic, as long as it is known that it is not known to be a fabrication or a lie. If it, as long as we know that it's not a lie, we can narrate it, even if there is some dha'f and weakness in the narration. So these, and then you get Imam Nawawi, Imam Ibn Salah, Hafiz ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, rahmatullahi alayhi, and all these. We have a very nice book over here. Al-Ahadith al-Dha'ifa wa Makanatuha 'inda al-Muhaddithin. Is written by Shaykh Yusuf al-Sadiq from Dewsbury. Very nice book. It's regarding these ahadith of Fadhail Amal. And he's quoted in here majority of the ulama. If you see, once one of our students in Darul brought to me this booklet about hadith. He said, Maulana Sahab, this booklet is written by some of the Salafi, Ghair Muqallidin scholar. And he says that hadith sharif, Zaif hadith should be discarded, thrown away. So I said, okay, wo baad mein jawab dunga, usne kaha start, main kaha okay, let me have a look at it. So I looked through it, flicked through it, and saw all the quotes in there. And then at the end, there was a diagram, Naksha bana hua. On one side were the names of those muhaddithin who accept Zaif hadith, and on the other side were the name of those muhaddithin who reject. So I said, just look at this Naksha. On this side is the name of all the legends, and over here just a few. So who would you rather follow? This whole list of legends who are saying Kal Ijma' is like Ijma' and Ittifaq on narrating the hadith for Fadhail, or would you narrate these few Albani and Bin Baz and these few who are saying no, reject Zaif hadith and don't pay any attention to it? Would you go after them, or would you go after these legends, Salafi Salihin? You can't call yourself Salafi if you are rejecting the view of the Salaf. Salaf are accepting Zaif hadith and you're trying to reject it. You're not following the Salaf. So, the Salaf have accepted Zaif hadith in Fadhailul A'mal. And we are saying that Shaykh Zakaria rahmatullahi alayhi is following the way of the Salaf. If the Salafis have a problem with this, then they shouldn't attack Shaykh Zakaria. They should get their own house in order. They should start accepting Fadhail, Zaif hadith in Fadhail, like their elders have accepted them, like Ibn Taymiyyah accepted them, like Ibn al-Qayyim accepted them. You open up Ibn Taymiyyah's books and they are filled with Zaif hadith. You open up Ibn al-Qayyim's I'lam al-Muwaqqi'in, Al-Wabil al-Sayyib, Kitab al-Ruh, they are filled with Zaif hadith. Because they are with the majority of the scholars. They know that it's only a virtue, a matter of virtue. Targhib, tarhib, sawab, iqab. In order to mention them, you can use Zaif hadith as long as it's not mawzu. It's not fabricated. If there is some weakness in the chain, that can be tolerated. And Hazrat Shaykh Zakaria rahmatullahi alayhi in Fadhail A'mal is an extremely cautious writer. So he brings one hadith on the subject matter, he puts all the takhrij, and then he supports that with various ahadith at the end, like I explained on the hadith of Durud Sharif on Friday. So he does that in other places, he supports that every hadith. So Hazrat Shaykh rahmatullahi alayhi is with the majority of the Salafi Salihin, he's on their path. You take all the scholars. Over here, Dr. Akram Nadwi was saying, when Shaykh Zakaria writes Awjazul Masalik, he is very strict, but when he goes into Fadhail, he brings all types of narrations. And he used the word fabrication. This is a lie, this is an attack on Hazrat Shaykh. Hazrat Shaykh has never narrated a fabricated narration in his book. Show me one fabricated narration from his book. Once this young man came to me, and he was, nice young man, Tablighi boy, and he comes to me and says, Maulana Sahab, I was in Jamaat, and this Salvi guy comes to me and says, look, Fabrik, there is Mawzu Hadith in Tuzail Amal. And he said, look, this is what the Hadith, it says, Mawzu, Mim, Waw, Wad, Waw, Ayn, that this Hadith is Mawzu. So Maulana Sahab, I was really scared that this is Mawzu Hadith. What is this? I said, okay, bring that kitab to me and show me where it says Mawzu. So he said, okay. So I thought to myself, Bichara kab kitab layega? When is he going to bring the kitab? I said, come here, let me explain to you. What it is that Shaykh Zakaria narrates the hadith and then he quotes. And then under that quote, he mentions all the views. So he mentions like Suyuti has said this and so and so has said this with regards to this hadith. And sometimes he says, وَلَكِنْ قَالَ ابْنُ الْجَوْزِيِّ هَذَا الْحَدِيث مَوْضُوعٌ. So it's Hazrat Shaykh Zakariya's amanat and diyanat that he puts all the views. He doesn't just narrate that view which is supporting him, he brings everything. Now Ibn al-Jawzi is known to be mutashaddid, that he is very strict. So because of his tashaddud, sometimes he classes one hadith as mawzu, but others have classed it as not mawzu. Like Ibn al-Jawzi has classed 33 hadiths of Ibn Majah as mawzu. But Jalaluddin Suyuti Rahmatullahi alayhi has taken all those hadiths and proven that they are not mawzu. So these mawzu are not mawzu, sahih are not sahih, hasan or not hasan, sahih or not sahih is also a variation in the categorization of hadith. And there's no one blanket rule by which you can say all this is sahih and all this is sahih and all this is mawzu. No. There is variation. Muhaddithin have differences of opinions with regards to we respect all opinions. And Hazrat Shaykh Abdul Raheem is such a diyanatdar, amanatdar author. You see people today, today people have no diyanat in them. People only bring that view which supports them. Nasiruddin Albani, he writes books Sifatu Salat al-Nabi, min al-tahrimati ila al-taslim ka'annaka taraha. And he brings in there only those quotes which support him, not the other side. And sometimes he how can you say, concocts some opinions in there as well. Example, he writes in that hadith of folding the hand on the chest. He brings the hadith of Muhammad ibn Ismail that عن وائل ibn Hujr رضي الله عنه صليت خلف النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فوضع يمينه على شماله على صدره. Now this ala sadrihi word is narrated by one single narrator, Muhammad ibn Ismail, who himself is not reliable. And there are other narrators, more than 10 narrators, who are not narrating ala sadrihi. So Albani doesn't quote those 10 narrators, he only quotes that one narrator, and he says this is in Muhammad ibn Ismail's riwayat. But Ibn al-Qayyim in I'lam al-Muwaqqi'in has written that this narration of Muhammad ibn Ismail is unreliable. And he was an unreliable narrator, it cannot be taken into account. There are more than 10 other narrators from the same ustad from whom Muhammad ibn Ismail is narrating, and they are not quoting ala sadrihi, they are only saying فَوَضَعَ يَمِينَهُ عَلَى شِمَالِهِ full stop. Ala sadrihi is addition of Muhammad ibn Ismail. Now Albani, he says over there وَفِيهِ رِوَايَةُ طُرُقٌ أُخْرَى. There are other turuq. Now what are those other turuq? You should bring them. There is no other turuq. Ibn al-Qayyim has said in I'lam al-Muwaqqi'in that this hadith is not reliable. So these authors, we can see that we can't trust their view with regards to the istaqahat, taz'if and tawzeeq of hadith, especially when we see their tanaquzat. Sometimes they say one hadith over here is sahih, but in another book they class the same hadith as sahih. They class one narrator as thiqa over here, and then other place they class him as not thiqa. In the same kitab, after a few pages, they forget what they wrote some pages ago, and now they are writing something else. This is Tanaquzatul Albani al-Wadiha. So, the Shaykh who is millions of miles ahead of these people. He is ahead of them. He spent his whole life. He studied from reliable teachers, his asatiza, his mashayikh. He was respectful to them. He busied his life in teaching Sahih Bukhari throughout his whole life. And when you see these people, they don't even have proper asani. Show me the teachers of Albani. No teachers. He only goes to someone and takes ijazat from them. This is not the way of muhaddithin. If someone comes to Mufti Tawseer and gets ijazat from him, that does not mean he's Mufti Tawseer's student. His student will be those who stayed with him for years and studied by him. So you bring Albani's teachers, you can't find them. You bring Shaykh bin Baz. His eyesight was, blurry at the age of 16. And by the age of 20, he was completely blind. And he was never able to study after that. So now he becomes an authority. And then he gives out rulings, but makes mistakes in it. So what we see over here is, when we compare them with our Hazrat Shaykh Nawalullah Maqadahur, Hazrat Shaykh is miles ahead of them. And Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullah is extremely trustworthy, reliable, narrator, author. Alhamdulillah, the whole world, relies on Hazrat Shaykh's kitabs. So we are not denying that there are any Fadhail, Zaif ahadith in Fadhail al-A'mal. We are accepting, yes. But at the same time, your view of rejecting Zaif hadith in Fadhail al-A'mal is the wrong view. The right opinion is the opinion of Salaf Salihin, that hadiths which are Zaif can be used in Fadhail al-A'mal. There is no harm. There might be some conditions in there, like Hafiz ibn Hajar Asqalani Rahmatullah mentions 3 conditions. That is also variable. Hafiz ibn Hajar's own ijtihad. We take it with respect, Hafiz ibn Hajar Rahmatullah, and we do try and abide by those. Hazrat Shaykh knows that, he knows that better than me and you. He was well versed with Usul Hadith. He was Hafiz, he had beautiful memory. Hazrat Shaykh, when he started teaching Sawa Mu'allaqa, he used to keep the book closed and he used to teach Sawa Mu'allaqa from his memory. His memory was really sharp. So Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullah was of the highest caliber. So this is one objection about ahadith in Fadhail A'mal. In the first session, we have covered biography of Shaykh, the background of Fadhail A'mal, and also the maqbooliyat of Fadhail A'mal around the world, and Mashaykh's quotes and their attitude with regards to Fadhail A'mal, and also are the ahadith and everything in Fadhail A'mal authentic or not. We have covered one question about the ahadith of Fadhail A'mal, and alhamdulillah we can say that with confidence there is no mawzu hadith in Fadhail A'mal. The young chap who brought to me, who asked me, I said that is Hazrat Ibn al-Jawzi's view, which Shaykh narrated that this hadith is mawzu. But before that, the Shaykh has said that this hadith is not mawzu, it's reliable, it's authentic, and he quoted Suyuti or so and so from there. Hazrat Shaykh Yunus Sahab once said to me, हमारे हजरत के का फ़ज़ाइल अमाल में वही तसाहुल और नरमी है जो सुयूती के उनकी किताबों में है. Suyuti was very lenient in his book of Jami'ul Ahadith, Al-Jami'ul Saghir, and others. Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullah is also lenient in that factor that these hadiths can be taken and used in Fadhail A'mal. And this question and objection is nothing new. It was raised to Hazrat Shaykh Zakaria during his lifetime. And he said the same thing, that Zaif hadith can be used in Fadhail. So I've only used them in Fadhail. My book is not about Ahkam and Masail, it's not about Aqidah. So why can't we use those hadiths in Fadhail? When it's the opinion of Jumhurul Ulama, and Nawawi has said it's like Ijma' on there, so what's wrong? What's the problem with that? So this is one objection. There are other few objections with regards to some stories in Fadhail A'mal, Kushuf, Karamat, Ilhamat, other things. Inshallah we will cover them in the next session. Inshallah. ठीक है जी. अभी मुकर्रर करें सुभान अल्लाह बिहम्दिही सुभानक अल्लाहुम्मा बिहम्दिका नशहदु अल्ला इलाहा इल्ला अंता नस्तगफिरुका व नतूबु इलैक.